Good morning, this is Duane, and today I'd like to talk about a much used chord progression. You know what a chord progression is. It's just two or more chords and the way they like to move. For example, the most used chord progression of all time is the 5 to 1 chord progression. No matter what key we're in, let's say we're in the key of F. F is the 1 chord, right? Based on the scale 1. Okay, the 5 chord would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Would be the 5 chord, would be the C chord, or better C7th. Usually the 5 chord has a 7th in it. When it's going to the back to the 1 chord, it's called a dominant 7th. Okay, dominant 7th is the music theory name for it, but you can just think of it as a 7th if you want to. So we know that the 5 chord, the 5-7 chord goes to the 1 chord no matter what key you're in. If you're in the key of C, of course, the 1 chord is C, and the 5 chord is G, so G7 to C. It's the most familiar of all chord progressions. Now, right after that, one of the next most used chord progressions is the 2 to 5 to 1 progression, and it happens in a zillion songs. So we go from the 2, let's do it in the key of C so you can follow it. The 1 chord is C, the 5 chord is G. What would the 2 chord be? It would be a D chord, usually D7th or D minor 7th, often. And so we have this progression in the key of F. You've heard that all the time. So 2, 5, 1. There's 2, 5, 1, 2, 2, 5, 1. On that old song, I think it's called Jeepers Creepers. It's an old jazz tune. But if you're a jazz pianist, of course, you know that 2, 5, 1 is used constantly. And there's shortcuts around it, of course. There's chord substitutions. A lot of people go from the 2 chord, instead of going to 5, they go down a half step to the flat 2 and then to the 1. So you can do that sort of thing as well. But today I'd like to talk about consecutive dominant 7ths that go a little further. Do you know the song? Something like that, and what I want you to see is this part that goes. Those are all 5s going to 1. For example, we've got E7th going to A. What is that? That's up a 4th, isn't it? In other words, a 5 chord to the 1 chord. Okay, 5, 1. Now A7th is the 5 of D. And D7th is the 5 of G. So we're going right around the circle of 5ths. E7th to A7th to D7th to G. And it could go further. It doesn't in that song, but it often does. The old song, "Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone." That goes from the 1 chord to the 3 chord, 3-7, to the 6-7, to the 2-7, to the 5-7, to the 1. So it goes, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes 5/12ths around the circle of 5ths that we've talked about in the past. So chord progressions like to move up a fourth. Just remember that. They like to move up a fourth, particularly if there's a seventh in it. If there's a seventh in a chord, it almost always goes up a fourth. Put a seventh in that chord and it goes up a fourth. Put a seventh in that chord and it goes up a fourth. Put a seventh in that chord and it goes up a fourth. We could go right around the circle of fifths doing that. In fact, let's do that. C, C seventh, F seventh, B flat, B flat seventh, E flat, E flat seventh, A flat seventh, D flat seventh, G flat seventh, B seventh, E seventh, A seventh, D seventh, G seventh, C. Did you notice when we got to E? Just like spinning wheel, I think it's called, that we played through earlier. Okay, so that's one kind of chord progression that's used a great deal. They're called consecutive dominant sevenths. So make a note of that and notice them in all your piano playing. The more you notice about chord progressions, the better off you are, because those chord progressions occur over and over and over again in song after song. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. In other words, once you know certain chord progressions, you can see them coming, and it speeds up your sight reading if you're a sight reader, but if you play by ear or chords, you know what's coming. So it's good all around for any kind of musician. Well, thanks for being with me, and we'll see you again soon. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, be sure and do that. Go over to playpiano.com and sign up for the free newsletter. Got a lot of good stuff there. Thanks. Bye-bye for now.